following announcement has been paid for by the Celtic World Order.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. It's very, very late after the match, but I thought to myself, why not? Let's get on, let's speak about it, because I think I don't need the time to process that. It was devastating, it was heartbreaking, but at the end of it, it was something to be really proud of. It was a fantastic result against the bona fide European top tier team with a phenomenal home record. And Celtic went there and made them look bang average for long periods of that game. It's going to be one of those situations. I quite feel that it's going to be what ifs, what could have been, because we all know that when we look at that first half, we were absolutely riding the crest of the wave. We were creating the chances and probably should have been 1, if not maybe 2-0 up going into half time. But that's the way the game goes. And sometimes football is cruel. But one thing about it, as we can say, is you've got to be proud of Celtic. Sitting here right now, regardless of the outcome, you've got to be proud. And as it said there in the tagline for the show, the signs of progress are clear to see. We wanted progress. We wanted something tangible. We said, what does progress look like for Celtic? Well, I think after tonight, we can say that we are truly on the right steps. We're on the right road towards going the direction that we as fans want when it comes to European competition. So a wee quick one, we'll go through it. I'm sure that you've went through it in your head a million times since that final whistle and that very unfortunate late goal. But let's talk about it. As I say, we'll try and be brief. But before we do it, the wee bit of housekeeping. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Celtic World Order. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt and I'll be here flying solo tonight. It is extremely late and I do say apologies for the temporary pop-up location. It's just a lot easier for my back. Sitting on the couch with the feet extended out, I can sit and relax and talk to you. As it makes it a wee bit easier. It takes away the physical pain as well as the heartbreaking pain of that result a wee bit as well. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? You know what to do. It costs you nothing. Hit the subscribe button and it helps us out greatly. Just get the extended reach of the channel, get more people in here. If you're a returning subscriber, then thank you. We really appreciate the constant support you've given us. If you want to donate and help out with the run of the channel, you can do in the member section. It's $1.99 a month. It just helps with putting everything together. And there's multiple ways to connect with us elsewhere. If you want to get us on X, we're at CWPod1888. We're on TikTok. We're on Blue Sky, and you can catch up on the go on Spotify. So plenty of ways to get involved. So let's get into it. Let's get into the meat of this game. Celtic won, Bayern Munich won, and it looked as if we were going to go to extra time. It looks as if there was at least another 30 minutes of that game that Celtic could have punched and maybe landed a knockout blow. I kind of felt as the game as it went on and it got to that latter stages, I don't know, there was just something in me. I just felt that we were going to sneak it. And then in the cruelest fashion, something that we haven't really seen in a long time, what you would normally have called typical Celtic in Europe moment. We get an absolute gut buster at the 11th hour. Literally the last kick of the ball. And before you know it, what looked like could be a glory night has been turned into glorious failure. There's no other way of putting it. But as I say, is do not let the scoreline, do not let the fashion of which the scoreline came around, and do not let what happened in terms of, getting out, spoil it. There'll be fans from other quarters who want to try and throw some shade at Celtic, that want to slag you off and all that, but this isn't Union Saint-Gilloise or some other dung that you're playing against. This is, as I say, a bona fide powerhouse of European football, a team who we punched above our weight at Celtic Park. But getting into this one, I think if you asked everyone from bookies to pundit, to fans, to the casual, they probably had Celtic completely written off. They would not have foreseen this Bayern Munich side possibly allowing the minnows that are Celtic to inflict some damage on them, give them a run for their money, and take them all the way in this match. But they were foolish to think that, because in terms of game tactics, in terms of setup, in terms of how we approached the game, I think to a man we were as near as perfect as we could have been. Now, of course, as I can see some of the comments there, yes, what if moments, and I'm sure we'll go on to one or two players. What I want to say is collectively, though, I am proud of every single player that put on the jersey tonight. I felt that the performance, we looked at this season's Champions League and we says, what was the highlights? What was the best performance that we've put in? And for some, we would look at the obvious. We'd say RB Leipzig at home, great result, everything clicked together, and a victory. Fast flowing football. We spoke about it the other night, and Paddy said for him it was Atalanta. It was about going to a very, very tough arena against a side who were expected to dissect you, pull you apart, and absolutely slaughter you, but showing that you've got the maturity and you've learned and you've grown and that you're able to put in a performance and come away with something when you're expected to get nothing. And I think probably up until then, that for me was also arguably the turning point, if you will, the stage of the campaign where you really started to believe and think, yes, this is a different Celtic. This is a different animal. This is a side who have learned from mistakes. This is a manager who isn't doubling down. This is a guy who's processing what he's seen and he's adapting, and that is the best thing about it. And I totally agree there with Steve was saying. This isn't the end. It's an exciting new beginning. And yes, it's an exciting new beginning, but as we'll say, it will only go as far as how much are the board and the powers that be going to tool up this side. Because ultimately, when I look at that, and it's terms that I hate, and I've said this before, I hate things like fine margins. Fine margins. I hate that. I hate that getting thrown about. I think when we look back on this, there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of takeaways, and of course, target number one was qualify. Get into this next round. Of course, if we had finished higher up the table, maybe scooped up points against Bruges, where we took the draw. Same with Dinamo Zagreb, where we took the draw. If we got 3 points at them, we could have been further up. And of course, that means more money and a bit more stature and a bit more reputation, if you want to call it that, because they are wins rather than draws. But we have steadily learned each way through it, and it is an exciting new beginning. It's given us real hope, and this is the best thing about this new format of Champions League. I am a big fan of it. I've constantly said that on this show. How long that's going to last, though, well, that remains to be seen, doesn't it? Because we know that this is a disruptor, this format. We've seen some big names fall by the wayside, and we've seen some big names get hard, tough draws coming up, because that monopoly has been smashed. And it plays into the hand. It does level the playing field that one wee bit for the likes of teams like ourselves, for Celtic, because you only play teams once in the group phase, and then of course if you finish within that, as we did, top 24, you then go into a one-off two-tie knockout phase type thing, and as we've seen, anything can happen. Well, you can say anything can happen in 90 minutes, but anything can happen in 180 minutes. And certainly nobody would have had what happened in the last 180 minutes on their bingo cards, that is for sure. So I think for ourselves, if we look at that and we look at, again, the aforementioned Bruges, very unfancied, who we were lamenting the fact that, and I was one of them, felt that we underperformed against them. They swept aside an Atalanta side who were tipped to be at least hot favourites to go deep into this contest and this competition and do well. They've been phenomenal domestically and laying people to waste. And even look at Feyenoord again, giving it an almost retro touch now when we look at the next stage, the last 16, to think that Feyenoord are there. It seems a wee bit retro, but as I say, it absolutely levels the playing field. And as McLaughlin saying there, yes, that one of the results tonight, Bruges smashing Atalanta to bits. Absolutely, absolutely crazy. And the same there. Feyenoord, what a result that could have been. There's many, many things that this competition has done that there's positive to do. And if we look at the game tonight, I think the changes, myself, Paddy and Paul came on last night and we said we surmised what were the changes going to be. And we says Celtic must go all in to win. And that was quite frankly to be more attack-minded. And I think you can't argue with that. The big question mark was always going to be, do we go with Ida up front or do we go with Maeda through the middle? Everyone was calling for it. Everybody was shouting for it because we saw that we'd done the press in the sort of late section of the first game at Parkhead. that's where we got the purchase. That's where we ultimately got the goal, and that's where we really, really frightened them. There was question marks when we were having the conversation. How long could Jota go? And the question being, if he's only 65, 70% fit, are you as well as utilising that at the front end, try to get yourself ahead and then take him off, rather than not have that same level of quality on for that small period of time, let the game fade, it's maybe beyond you, and then it's almost pointless to bring him on. Well, the manager done the right thing. He made the changes. We went with that front three. We went Jota. We went Maeda through the middle. And of course, we had Kuhn out on the wing. Another guy with a point to prove, and ultimately scores the key goal for us tonight, and definitely proved a bit of a point, albeit personally I thought he had a wee bit of a mixed game. The one big thing as well was Jeffrey Schlupp in at left back. Again, we've been talking for years and years and years that we need to upgrade on it, and big bad Greg Taylor has been taking on all comers and putting them to the sword. No one's been able to shake him out the side. With the contract situation with him there being so uncertain, it looks as if he's going to leave in the summer. Then we get Jeffrey Schlupp in. Yeah, he's only on loan at the end of the season. People are saying no buy-on clause, etc. He's out of contract. So I think that from now on, for me personally, I think between now and the end of the season, because there's a treble to be won, there's a 9th treble to be won round the corner for Celtic. In that run-in, Jeffrey Schlupp is going to be the guy for me that drops in. You can see the instant leap in quality. At times, the first start of the game, I felt he looked a wee bit shaky, as he did when he came on at home against Bayern at Parkhead. Maybe found it a wee bit harder to get the tempo of the game. I think that's probably as well because we're just playing a very straight defensive setup. We were more just like a solid back four rather than this inverted role that we get with Taylor. But he performed it very, very well. You can see that athleticism, you can see that experience, you can see that he is definitely an absolute perfect addition to the squad. And Steve was saying there, yes, with Kieran Tierney coming in, remember, Kieran Tierney's in the back pocket. Again, a what-if moment. What if Celtic pushed the boat out tonight and we had Kieran Tierney for this game tonight? Would it have changed a thing? Quite possibly not. But it would have given us a lot more strength. It would have given us a lot more rotation, because as the game goes on, naturally as you find it, guys like Schlupp do start to fade away. Guys like Job, as we said, with the fitness faded away. Kuhn faded away. So it's always good to have those backups. And that is the thing. And as Big Dom's saying, and as I said as well, it is very, very hard to fault anybody in this game tonight. I thought, to a man, they were absolutely perfect. I thought that the game plan was implemented so well, and you would have been mistaken if you thought that Celtic, you've been given forgiveness if you said, turned it on, didn't know what that stadium was. You would have probably thought Celtic were the home team for large periods of that game, because even though we look at statistically and it will tell you that Bayern had more of the ball and all that kind of nonsense, when it really mattered, Celtic did not look flustered. Celtic looked the more dangerous team. Yes, as the game rode on, there was periods where Celtic had to ride the lightning and they gave us a few scares. But overall, the performance was as near to perfection as you can get out of that squad of players that we've got at this moment in time. So let's just wind back. Let's just go right back to the start and take it from there. I hope that you're wrong there, just to coming up on Schlupp, as Wilson saying, yeah, he is out of contract and hopefully wages won't be a problem. I think at his age, I think he's about 32, and we look at it and he sees experiences like he's had in the Champions League there. He'll have big experiences in the league with games against Rangers to come up, probably going to be cup finals to win and trophies. And I think all those things, when he hits that age and he's looking, thinking, well, I can go out with medals in my pocket and another shot at Europe. I think those are the things, those are going to be the selling points that are going to keep him around at Celtic. And ultimately, again, the way that we act, the way that the board acts and signings and making signings and showing intent, those are the kind of things that will get quality players not only coming to you, but want to stay at you. But anyways, we just look back to the start of the game. And for me, I felt that the opening 5 minutes, I'll be totally honest, it's funny how the game changes, because the first opening 5 minutes, I looked at it and I thought Bayern came out hot. And I thought they were pressing, they were pushing, they were moving the ball about, as you'd expect for a class team like them, nice and easily. And I instantly thought to myself, God, it could be a long night here. But maybe against the odds, we get the first chance just after the 5 minute mark. And it's one of those ones, isn't it? You're ruining it. You're sitting there and I was cursing it. Not going to lie. Cal McGregor does so well. He's goes in the back, I think it's Elise. He steals the ball. He charges through, gets himself into the box. Maybe no composure from him. We've seen him hit some absolute classic strikes this season, but he just rushes his lines and smashes it and is wide over. But again, early shown that press, that being forward and being up close and personal with them, that they didn't like, remember, back at Celtic Park in the first leg. That was the first example of how that was going to be working. And from there on, I just felt it was like a wee sort of boxing, early stages of a boxing match. We get the first sort of blow or glancing blow where we miss, but we start to feel the game out. We start to get our grounding in it. Yes, we're letting him have the ball, but the press and the movement, the shape that the team have got, it was very, very fluid. You could see it across. Nobody was getting dragged out of position very badly. Nobody was doing anything that they shouldn't have been doing, and it paid off. We started to settle in the game. You saw a real maturity and a calmness about Celtic that we've not really seen in many seasons gone by. And again, talking as I did at the start about development and progress, that in itself is progress when you can watch Celtic pass the ball about as calmly as they did. And there were periods in that opening 15 as well where they were pressing us and pinning us back in their own half. And we're having to do that, at times with a heart in your mouth, passing it out of the back. But we seem to be able to do that now. I'm not saying it's going to happen and be able to be perfect all the time, but we've been managing to cope with it at a very good level. And then again, the next big chance of the match comes to ourselves. I think it's just short of about 20 minutes, and it's Jota. The questions were, is Jota's legs going to be there? Is he going to be able to get the power and the pace through it with him not being fully match fit? There's a difference between being, of course, match fit against games against Wraith Rovers and in the domestic league versus going to Allianz Arena and playing against Bayern Munich, being fit and ready to go. But he breaks through, and it is a fantastic effort. He manages to poke the ball through Kuhn, and I don't know, let me think. What do you think? Let me give you your opinion. Is it a poor miss? Does he just top the ball? But it's a very, very soft side-footed effort from him at the sort of back post, and it's an easy clearance. It goes past the goalie, but it's an easy clearance. There's no real worry or overstress for Bayern Munich. But again, the first 20 minutes, they're Celtic with the best two chances in the match. And undoubtedly at that point, we talk about fine margins, but this level of football, when you play at this level of football, you have to take the chances as they're presented, because, well, as we've seen, you're only a cross into the box away from an absolute travesty, and even at that deep into the game as it was, because these teams simply don't stop. They've got the quality to the last minute, which is, people are saying our bench severely lacks, but that's by the by. If one of those chances go in, I don't want to go down the if and maybe and the 20 minutes against Bayern Munich sort of trophy crap. I don't want to go down that route, but it's factual. If we convert one of those chances that we were given against the run of play, so even more creating the best chances, they still had the lion's share of the ball, and probably even 20 minutes in, they're not sweating, they're not worrying, but we could have gave them a lot to worry about and a lot more to think about, because as we did go on, and when we got the goal, I had felt, and I texted around, it was in my messages to my mates, I says, I think if we score a second goal here, if we go 2-0 up, I think this genuinely blows them wide open. And that's the difference. That is the difference, because if we take one of those early chances, then it's curtains. In my heart, at least, it's curtains. And maybe I'm just being a wee bit overly optimistic. But for that chance for Kuhn, almost instantaneously, within a minute or so right after it, there's another glancing chance to Maeda, who we're expecting. We brought him in there because of the anticipation, the speed, the running, and he doesn't quite make it. It's a great bit of play there from Engels to fire it across the face of the goal. Maeda doesn't commit maybe as much as I would have liked him to, and it flashes by. But again, another shot across the bow to Bayern Munich that Celtic are here to play. They're here to take part. They're not here to take part. They're here to compete. They're here to actually cause you some damage, and I felt that was that. As the first half fizzled out, Bayern never really, for me, got us sweating. Other than there was a chance it comes in and Kane, again, don't know, the commentary, of course, was English commentary, and they didn't really want to give you too much. I think as the game waved on, they had to sort of bend at the knee and be honest about what they were seeing. The Celtic were giving this team a real run for their money, but Kane hits the bar and it's, he should do better, and maybe does it fluffs his lines and all that kind of garbage. But up to that point, I thought perfectly laid out game plan. Unlucky not to be 1-0 minimum up, if not 2. And again, as I says, I hate saying it, but if I say to you that's the way it was going to pan out, or you say to anybody in the journalistic spheres, or definitely that commentary team, that's how it was going to pan out, they've called you a liar straight to your face. First half for me, I thought was mature. It was composed. Everybody kept their shape well. I had a lot of praise in that first half for Engels and McGregor. I felt that they were phenomenal. We spoke about it the other night, and we says in terms of getting the best out of Engels, it's perhaps McGregor who's the guy that needs to sacrifice what he would maybe prefer to do. Engels is playing the McGregor role, slightly more advanced. McGregor's dropping deep just in front of the defence, picking up the ball, breaking up the play, orchestrating, seeing and conducting, and that worked perfectly for us. I'm not going to overly criticise, because, as I say, after tonight, it's really hard to criticise or be seen to criticise. But for me personally, it's just a shame that we didn't have Bernardo on the bench, because I would have got rid of Hatate at half time. That's all I'll say about it. I don't want to dive into it. I don't want it to turn into a moan about him, but I felt that he was genuinely killing us. In terms of our midfield, we were doing well and we were competing, but it would have been made so much more easier for us if Rio Hatate was on something that looked like a game. Now he survives the game, and I'll get on to that, because ironically, when Celtic were in the ascendancy with one ahead, that's when he seemed to come alive. And yeah, that could have pushed us over the line, and that would be maybe a different story than me sitting here. But as we say time over on this channel, players, when they're given the opportunity, when they're given the start the big games, you want to see them do it from the off, not do it when it suits them, not do it when it takes their fancy. And I just felt that was very much the situation tonight with Hatate. For the first half, Kuhn, unlucky. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because of what he does do. But I felt that we should have been utilising the wings a lot more. I think we were trying to go with the pace of Maeda and trying, something like we would do with Kyogo when he was there, of trying to find off the shoulder, fire a wee ball in behind, depending on his speed to get there. I felt that we were neglecting going down the wings, because for me, Kuhn and Jota faded in and out the game a wee bit. In that first half, they were pretty quiet at periods, and that was really disappointing to see. We come out in the second half, there's no Harry Kane, probably a blessing, because it was really took away their target man. As much as they weren't really firing all cylinders and really looking like they were going to cause us mass amounts of trouble, you still would rather Harry Kane was not on the pitch. And in terms of that second half, it was very much like the start of the first. Bayern, for me, were coming out. They looked as if they wanted it that wee bit more. They'd obviously got a rocket fired up their backside and told that they had to do something about it, because they came out, they looked fast, they had a couple of quick chances early in the game. I think probably the best one was the shot from Elise. Again, Kasper Schmeichel, we've got to give him his flowers, because what a signing he has been. You want to talk about the best Celtic goalkeepers in recent times, then he's got to be absolutely well up there, if not the best goalkeeper that we've had in modern times. Absolutely perfect. What a player. Key saves in the game, and he'll be feeling hard done by with the outcome at the end, make no doubt about it. But we get the goal, as we say, we get the goal. I probably definitely against the run of play for me, and we get to see a wee bit of what Adam Ida, when he comes on, what he can do. It's a good bit of workout for him. I actually thought when he hit the ball down the line, I thought, you've completely squaffed that, mate. You have absolutely squaffed that. But then it's Maeda chasing down lost causes. He runs in, he gets the ball, kind of loses it. There's 2 points in that where actually Bayern Munich have control of the ball, or as near as control it, but fluff their lines. Comes through, I think it's Kimmy slides for some reason, and he can't get past the charging Kuhn, who slots it in the corner. Absolutely perfect, composed, calm, puts it home. what a goal for him, a definite homecoming, a guy with a point to prove. As I say, someone for me, I just didn't feel that he really performed to his highest levels in the Champions League. Definitely the game against Leipzig was his, coming of age in the Champions League, but domestically he's been phenomenal. He's been hot and cold in the Champions League, but I'll take that lukewarm, if you want to call that, from him tonight, because he scores a massive goal, and it could have been such an important goal there for us. From there on, I didn't think we looked in any way, shape or form that flustered. There was points where we were having, as I say, to ride the lightning, but we were limiting them. They were taking long shots at us. It was basically food and drink for our defenders, cross balls in. I thought Trusty was fantastic. Alistair Johnson, arguably for me, the best performance in a Celtic shirt for him. He tackled absolutely everything that moved. If there was a tackle we made down his side, Alistair Johnson was there and he was winning it. For me, definitely, he was my man of the match. I thought that he showed all the qualities of a vice captain, if not future captain, although of course with McGregor's longevity that's unlikely, but just in a hypothetical sort of situation, I thought he showed some real solid leadership qualities, and he should be holding his head incredibly high tonight. Carter Vickers, trusty, solid. Schlupp, very solid. You could see the experience, and he's definitely a guy that I want to keep hold of. In terms of from there on, we knew that there was going to be waves of play. We knew that it was going to be Bayern having to come back, trying to put the game to bed, make sure of it. There was a couple of shots, I think there was one for Coleman, for example, and then there was a wee heart in the mouth moment for me where there was a cheap penalty claim. One of their boys gets down the box and then I think they just let it play on and the ball comes in. I think it's Goretzka at the back post as a diving header and it goes back. I was waiting for VAR to call that back for a penalty. The referee, rightfully so, is telling the guy, get up. But we know how VAR works. We've seen stranger things, and I was just waiting for that VAR call to come down there and say, no, there's going to be a penalty there. But we get away with it. We ride it through. And then again, it's just wave after wave for a period where Bayern Munich pushing, asking the question, but not with any real solid conviction. There's a chance where Sani weaves in the box. It's too easy. He beats me out 2 or 3 guys, blazes over. And then, of course, there's the one where Engels chops down, I think it might be Elise, concedes a penalty on the edge of the box. But it's what he has to do. It's a good tackle against the odds, despite where he is with the free kick. And I expect him to do better with that, but nothing came of that. And from there on, I felt we were settled. I genuinely thought that Celtic were going to go on and we were going to steal the goal. We have to take off Jota, of course, and this is where it comes in, where the overall quality that we have just simply isn't there, unfortunately, because Yang has been so unpredictable. We got the brilliancy Yang in the home leg against Bayern where he comes on and he really, really makes an impact and he's involved in the goal. Then we get flashes of brilliance interspersed with absolute garbage against Dundee United. He comes on tonight and I just quite frankly think that the task is just too big for him. I think it's just far too big for him. I think by that point, the pace of the game is an overload. There's a lot of tired legs out there, but he just doesn't have that grasp on the game at that pace. No disrespect to him, he puts himself about and tries his best, but he was near as anonymous, to be honest, when it came to actually making a difference. But I still really did feel that we had one last chance left in us, and unfortunately it just did not come. I was very weary as the time went on. As I said, if we went into extra time, that it would have started to look very, very telling, because when you looked at the bench with some youngsters and we'd looked McCown, and that was really all she wrote. There was nothing that you would look at and say, yeah, if we've got that, that can be a total game changer. And that's maybe where Celtic, to be slightly negative about this season with the European side of things, have been let down. And it's not let down by the players. It's not ourselves being let down by the manager. It's the manager and the side being let down by them upstairs. Now, I know they always talk about January. It's tough to get people in the door and all that. But if you had a Kyogo on the bench or a Krista Garden or whoever it would be, and it gave you real options to move about. Names like Balakwisha, as we saw, the Norwegian chap, various. If we had that level of quality sitting on the bench to rotate out, it just makes your chances, particularly if you're looking at getting into potential. I know it's against a hypothetical, but if you're looking at getting into an extra 30 minutes and then potentially penalties, you want to have absolute quality on the pitch. We did have quality on the pitch, but the quality was tiring. The players were really, really tiring, and that's how the goal comes about. It's an absolute sucker punch. I think that, again, it's classic Celtic in Europe. It's what we've been used to in years gone by, and it felt incredibly cruel and devastating and heart-wrenching to go out in that fashion. We asked last night when we were on the channel, what does a good result look like? I says, well, for me, I'll take any win, even a win that puts us out. I'll take a draw, of course I will. But if we're going to get beat, do not get beat and embarrassed. That was the progress for me. And I thought that we were going to get ourselves, into the extra time. We were just going to force the issue. How would that have panned out? I have no idea. I probably think that the quality overall would have been telling, and we probably would have fallen by maybe 1, possibly 2 goals. Now that's maybe me being a bit generous based on how we played there, but I think over the piece, I don't know if we would have survived 30 minutes of additional time, but we had earned that right. We deserved it, and to have that taken away from us so late on, I just felt was absolutely devastating. And that's the point, has been said here. The board won't spend on these players. That this is the thing. They are getting called out. It's up to ourselves as fans, as people who have got platforms like this, to sit and ask these questions. And hopefully the manager has more than enough credit in the bank. I'm pretty sure he's showed some real tangible progress, fantastic progress in this Champions League, and shown how that this new Champions League format can work for teams like Celtic. And what you'll get out of it is what you put in. Now, where we go on win the league, we will have to qualify. Now, it's not a given. Games like that are not a given. There will be some quality teams in that qualifier. However, we've played a lot of quality teams this season, and over a 2-game, setup, we should be confident we can take anybody on. But we need to give ourselves the best chance to do it. Celtic scouting for the summer has to start now if it hasn't already. We need to be getting guys in at the front end, not waiting as we do to the very end and thrashing out deals and clutching at straws. Celtic have shown what is possible. What is possible. Yeah, do you know what? Did we get a favourable group? Well, probably aye. But it's long overdue. But we then get a knockout phase draw that's as cruel as you can be. It was either Bayern Munich or Real Madrid. And there we go. That's what they can do over 2 legs with what we have to Bayern Munich. What could we have done if we had that extra bit of quality? And that's what the manager needs to be drilling into the board. And that's what the board, I believe Dermot Desmond was there, he needs to be seeing that with his eyes. That Celtic in the reality, I'm not saying to go on and get into the last 8 and all that kind of nonsense. I'm realistic about our chances, but there's no reason why Celtic can't qualify for the Champions League, get to where we got tonight, and at least get ourselves into the last 16. If we show the investment, if we put investment into that side, there is no reason that we can't build on it. But managers of Brendan's quality and players of the quality they've brought in only stick around when they can see that everybody is matching their ambitions. They want to play at the best level or with the best players they possibly can under the best manager. That's the way it goes. Celtic have been given a blueprint to what to build from now for next season, and we have to mention it. Let's mention the goal. So it comes in and it's an absolute stinker. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying the off the ball instant just before it, where I think we're in the attack and it's coming in behind, and Maeda goes in behind, and I think the boy turns and he smacks him in the face. Is it deliberate? It remains to be seen. It gets technically counted as a head knock, so there's always the argument that the referee looks as if he's going to blow, but they start to break, he lets it run. We've seen with the VAR review thing in Scotland, probably we had making that decision at that point, whether it's right or wrong in your mind. the APP, the phase of play, has been changed multiple times. So in terms of the goal, you're never going to pull it back and write that off because it's a completely different attacking phase of play. So I think it's clutching at straws if you're going down that route. In terms of it's a head knock, Maeda goes down, we won't really know. I dare say we'll not find out what happened, if he was genuinely hurt or if it was a case of perhaps a wee bit of gamesmanship, maybe trying to take advantage. I'm not saying he's diving. All I'm saying is that deep on the game that it's possibly a foul, but thinking if I get down, we're in a great place, we're in a great position at 1-0 up ahead to maybe get a good final chance and steal it. So multiple variables there, but for me, I didn't think it really did impact in the goals that comes in. Ball comes in, we've seen it, header. It's another great save from Kasper Schmeichel. Very reactionary, so close to him, so he can't get it out from his feet. Carter Vickers in right in front of him, and I feel sorry for Carter Vickers because he sees the save, and when you watch it back, you see is this momentary, like he just freezes on the spot because he's probably worried the ball's going to bounce off him, and that split second what it takes him to react and try to sweep around, he's got Alphonso Davies coming out the back and bundles it home. Quite literally the last kick of the ball. Absolutely gotten devastating. And then you've got Bayern Munich jump about, and rightfully so, of course, they've just sealed their passageway to the next round, but it felt like, oh, it's inevitable, there we go, it was always going to happen, and you saw that at the end, jump about, and the rapturous sort of applause and adulation they were giving their players as if it was inevitable, when reality is they know that smash and grab, they got away with one, and hopefully, just hopefully, a wee bit of respect will get put on Celtic's name, a wee bit of respect will get put on the league, and it will make some of these naysayers in and around England and Europe to actually stand up and take a look and say, do you know what, Celtic are a good team because we've made the improvements. It's fine tweaking to get there, but ultimately the fine tweaking is going to be finance based. And we heard when I spoke to Martin, we heard when I spoke to Neil Lennon, how can we improve it? Well, they've made tens of millions from this campaign. They need to start investing a good chunk of that change into this team. We've got quality coming in the door with KT coming back. We know that Schropp's in the door. At his age, it could be another Aaron Moy Mark II. I definitely look to keep him around. Him and KT as an options, brilliant. We'll look at the guys that we've got out on loan. Lagerbielke seems to be doing well. Looks as if we'll get some money back from him. We've got Welsh out at Michelin. Again, unknown, but there's potential that these guys could all be getting moved on. We've already got rid of a lot of dead wood. And if we can get rid of more in the summer, sell off some of them, get some more money on top of what we're doing, and as I say, on the cusp of a domestic treble, and as Steve says, well, exactly, another treble is just going to have to do. There's worse headaches to be had. Of course, it would have been beautiful to get through that next round and put our wits against another top team. It wasn't to be, but one thing that we can say is we can be proud about this. Got to look at this. It is progress. It is progress no matter what way you want to dice it up. Celtic have finally, for the first time in a long time, made an impression in Europe. Every game wasn't a classic, but there was various. There was from I guess you'd expect 5-1 hammering Slovan Bratislava to open it all up. There was the tough, well-fought, well-hard-earned Atalanta. Of course, there was a scudding in Dortmund, and I think that was the real turning point because we've always, unfortunately, had that absolute tanking in Europe. The question was, could we have learned from it? Could we stop that happening again? And as I say, when we look at Atalanta, yes, absolutely, because they were a team outscoring most teams that they come up against by a heavy margin. We nullified it. We then look at Bayern Munich, as we said there. We learned, lessons have been learned. We've been able to strike a great mid-balance between the principles of our game, playing the Celtic way, attacking, but being that wee bit more cautious or pragmatic, however you want to call it. We've found a formula, but it's only a blueprint. It's only the starting point. It needs to be like anything, fine-tuned, and it will get better with time. Let's just hope that the board realise that we don't want to be one-hit wonders. We don't want to have gotten the Champions League. Thank you. We take the money, and now let's downsize and prepare for the Europa League. Now, speaking of the Europa League, if you ask me, this Celtic team right now that we have, I think that Celtic team that we have right now in the Europa League probably goes quite deep, has a good chance of reaching a quarter or a semi-final. I genuinely believe that. I think at this moment in time, Celtic are a Champions League team by default, but we've proven, thankfully, this season that we do deserve to be there. And that's the point. We do deserve to be there. I think we're a team who would perform better or go deeper in the Europa League, but ultimately we should always look to be a Champions League side. And now we've shown that we can be a Champions League side who can give teams a game, give a great account of ourselves, and looking at bar the game against Bayern Munich, a great home record where we can actually do something in Europe. But it's all down to backing the manager. We do have a world-class manager. I genuinely believe that we have an elite class manager in the door. We have started to add some real quality. I think when we see after the pre-season, I can only see guys like Jota, Kuhn, Ida, Engels, Trusty getting better and better. You throw in the mix Tierney, you throw in the mix Schlupp, and one or two other signings, maybe another three top signings, things start to look really good. So for me, as I say, it's disappointment, but it's not the end for me. I'm sitting here and I'm genuinely proud. I was gutted at the time. I was heartbroken. I don't think we deserve to go out that way. We deserve to get another 30 minutes to try and do it. But football is cruel, and sometimes you've just got to accept it. But one thing's for sure, there shouldn't be anybody looking at Celtic and slagging them off and saying that they're just a wee Scottish team for a Farmers League, because they've proven tonight, and I know it's only 2 games, I know it's only 2 legs, but they've proven tonight and over the piece that they belong to be in the mix with the big boys at the top table of European football. So anyway, thank you for joining me. It is just gone before 12. It is super late. So just wanted to come on immediately after the event there and give you some of my thoughts. As I say, hopefully you enjoyed that ride for Celtic in Europe. It was, with some great moments, some ups, some downs, some heartbreakers, and as I say, it's a cruel way to go out, but it was a great account of ourselves, and I think that we've definitely made people realise that Celtic are here, and that we're here not only to be a number, we're here to take part, we're here to compete, and we're here to shake things up. And I'd like to see us get back there next season. So you know what you need to do, board? Get your finger out, get the wallet out, get the money out, and back Brendan. If we back Brendan, I think that we can push on. So until next time, you all take care of yourselves, and hail, hail. See you later.